Now, Israel has decided to proceed with its controversial judicial reforms. The legislation, which was on hold for nearly 3 months, will resume today.
This comes amidst massive protests across the country against the proposal. Now, the Knesset's Constitution, Law and Justice Committee will resume legislation on the disputed judicial proposal. The discussions will continue till Tuesday. The committee will advance a bill which seeks to bar the power of the Supreme Court to judge the decisions taken by the government. According to the proposed amendments, Israel's courts will no longer be able to block executive decisions based on the extreme unreasonable doctrine. This doctrine currently allows courts to review administrative decisions which go beyond the scope of the government's reasonable authority.
Another bill is expected to be moved by the government's Ministerial Committee on Legislation to weaken the Israel Bar Association, or the IBA. The association occupies 2 spots on the Judicial Selection Committee, which is responsible for the election of judges. The new bill could give the coalition government greater control over these spots, as it includes a clause that would entirely remove IBA representatives from the committee. The bill would also grant IBA's current authorities to a new council, unlike the IBA, which is elected independently by the country's lawyers. This new council would be politically affiliated, as its members would be appointed by the government.
Critics say this would weaken the judiciary and grant the executive more powers in the selection of judges. The government says the judicial reform is meant to control what it calls an overly interventionist Supreme Court. Tens of thousands of Israelis took to the streets of Tel Aviv on Saturday, continuing the demonstrations that started in January. This comes after Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, vowed last Sunday to get the new legislation back on track.
Today, we're here to tell the government that we'll never stop, we'll never surrender. We're here to tell them that even though tomorrow they continue with the legislation, with the judicial reform, the overhaul, we'll never stop. We're here to show them that the Israeli people are not about any kind of dictatorship, nothing to do with rules and legislation that doesn't fit the Israeli democracy and the Israeli spirit of freedom.
Protesters marched from the Zingov Square to Kaplan Street yesterday before they were dispersed by policemen on horses. Massive protests over the months had forced the administration to put the legislation in cold storage. It remains to be seen whether Netanyahu will be able to withstand the backlash from protesters this time around.